Thank you for joining us. I'm Kalina Eck.
And I'm Carrie Chilton. We're staff attorneys with the Disability Law Center of Virginia, and we'd like to tell you a little bit about secondary transition, planning for life beyond high school.
So the first important benchmark for transition planning hits at the annual IEP meeting when the student is 13 years old, because the first IEP that will be in effect when they turn 14 has to include post-secondary after high school goals. These goals are related to training, education, employment, and independent living skills. The other important benchmark is the annual IEP meeting when the student is 15 years old, because the IEP in effect when they turn 16 must include a statement of what other agencies will be responsible for providing services after they leave high school. This is intended to set up a seamless transition, essentially, so the student isn't left for a period of time without supports they need after high school. These interagency linkages include agencies like DARS, the Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services. If a student plans to attend college after high school, it may be the college's Disability Resource Office, that sort of thing. Like all other goals in the IEP, transition goals need to be created based on evaluations, assessments, and the student's individual needs. And these goals must be written in a way that a student's progress towards them can be measured. Also, like every other goal in an IEP, transition goals need transition services to make sure a student meets those goals. Transition services can include teaching independent living skills, taking classes related to a student's career interests and community experiences. Some examples of specific services are internships or job shadowing, taking a college course in graphic design, visiting college campuses, touring apartments for rent, completing a sample monthly budget, participating in a driver's education course, and taking a career cluster inventory survey. Of course, these goals are going to change. When I was 13, I thought I would be either a professional sea otter cuddler or a brain surgeon. Yes, 13-year-old me is very disappointed in us. But that's to be expected and accommodated. As things change, you can always call an IEP meeting to discuss amending just the transition plan. Also, because IEP meetings can run long, and because transition planning is so important, we recommend that parents request a separate meeting just to discuss transition. Otherwise, they have a tendency to get rushed over.
In our IEP development video, we talk about the members of the IEP team, and the student is one of the most important members of that team. And that is especially true when discussing transition planning. In fact, when transition planning will be discussed at an IEP meeting, the student must be invited. If a student does not attend the meeting, the school must take other steps to ensure that their preferences and interests are considered. So whether they're at the meeting or you've talked with them about their preferences ahead of time and take that information with you to the meeting, it's something vitally important to this process.
When we do presentations on special education for parents, one of the exercises we have them do is sort of a newlywed game, but between them and their child. We have them answer the questions on your screen now based on what they think their child will say. And then we have them take the question sheet home and have their child answer without any prompting. Sometimes they're right on, sometimes they're very different. Asking these questions, knowing you're on the same page with your child about their ultimate goals for after high school, is absolutely essential for effective advocacy for them as these transition plans get developed.
This was a pretty brief overview of the transition planning process. So we'll close this video talking about where you can go for more help and some more detailed information. The Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services, DARS, has a transition services available for students. They have pre-employment transition services, or PRETS, and vocational rehabilitation, or VR services. All special education students who meet age requirements are entitled to PRETS services. These services are similar to transition services provided by schools, but because they are provided by DARS, they help to bridge that transition from IEP transition services to vocational rehabilitation services after graduation. Eligibility criteria for DARS VR services change periodically, so please contact them directly for information on eligibility. Some of the best IEP transition plans we've seen have had a representative from DARS involved in their creation, especially since they know all those interagency linkages we talked about earlier. Remember, a parent can invite any person with specialized knowledge of their child to an IEP meeting. For transition planning meetings, it may be helpful to invite those who have knowledge of your child as it relates to job skills. So if your child is taking college courses that are career related, you may wish to invite the professor of that course. You may wish to invite your child's employer if they have a part-time job. If your child has a job coach, you may want them to participate. You can also find additional resources for teens approaching adulthood on the DLCV website at the links in this slide. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this information helpful. For more information, please see the resources available on our website.